Question number 3. What are the steps to apply for Startup Visa Program? Câu hỏi thứ 3 sẽ là vậy thì các bước để nộp hồ sơ xin Startup Visa là gì? Ok.
Sure, Van. So the Startup Visa program basically has several steps, okay? And let's go through them one by one because it's a very document-heavy program, okay? Lots of documentation is required in the entire program. So I'll start by talking about the business plan, the concept, the idea, the project. Or I'll not call it a project because the founders have to develop a business concept. Of course, they'll work on a detailed business plan, and that business plan has to showcase innovation, your creation. How creative are you as a founder? How scalable is your business, and whether it is bringing economic benefit to Canada, and also whether your business plan is able to create employment opportunities in Canada. So your business plan and your pitch deck, all these documents play a very important role. So the first thing that the founders need to do is make sure they develop a very good business concept or a business idea. Okay, that's first. Number 2, you secure support from a designated organization. So the process is such that you have to pitch your idea to the designated organization to obtain a letter of support. And if applicable, you'll also get a commitment certificate, which is, of course, it's submitted directly to IRCC by the organization. So that letter of support then entails, a sort of a commitment from the investor saying that, I'm committed to investing X amount of money into this business in the future. Once there is tangible progress and growth into the business, I will be committing X amount into this business. So it's a support letter that an investor is giving to you saying that, I'm supporting your company. But of course, there are some conditions attached to it that, of course, the investor defines in his or her term sheet. Okay. So that securing support from the designated organization is the second step. Third important documentation is you have to prepare all the documentation for filing. So important documents like your proof of language proficiency, your settlement funds, your identification documents, which entails your passport. And I'll let Netik talk about the documentation after I finish. And of course, your letter of support is very important. As far as your business documentation is concerned, you need to have all sort of documents, your business plan, your pitch deck, your shareholders agreement, financial projections. And if your investor, you need to speak to your investor if there's a term sheet that they would like to sign, and patent documents, any MVPs you have done or you may be doing that in the future, software development, all of that. You need to take care of all of these documentation. Okay, that's the third step. Number 4 is submitting your application to IRCC successfully. So, you apply online through the IRCC portal, and you include all the supporting materials. You take help, of course, of a lawyer or an immigration lawyer or an RCIC. It's always advisable to take help of an expert under Startup Visa program because of the complexity that is involved in this program. Fifth is optional work permit. Now, I'd like to tell all your listeners that from October 4th or 3rd last year, they started open work permits for the primary applicants, which means that now the primary applicants will be given 3 years open work permits, which means that their hands are not tied. They can work with any other employer of their choice along with running their startup in Canada. Okay, so in this case, if you're opting for a work permit, you will be getting open work permit as the primary, and your spouse also gets an open work permit with you. And if you have kids, then student permits can be filed for your children. Children up to 22 years of age can be included in the application. The moment you turn 22, you will be out of the application, but until 21 and turning 22, you can be included as part of the application. Okay. And finally, processing and approval. So a lot of admissibility checks the founders will go through. After they file the application, there'll be a medical exam, there'll be a biometrics letter that's going to come, there'll be a security clearance, your background checks, all of that will happen until you await your final decision of getting your permanent residency. Okay, so this is the entire step-by-step process. You make a business plan, you secure your letter of support from the DO, you prepare your documentation, you do your filing, you opt whether you want a work permit or you don't want. It's an optional thing. This is a direct permanent residency program, so there's no compulsion on the founders to apply for a work permit. And finally, you wait for your approval to come, do your admissibility checks, make sure you're also at the same time working on your startup while you're waiting for your PR to get approved. Okay, so that's the entire process, and I will let Netik talk about documentation in detail because he's worked more with founders deeply. As far as documentation is concerned, he's an expert, so I'll let him talk. Go ahead.
So as far as the documentation is concerned, so the documentation which are required are distinguished between two different steps. One is to obtain the letter of support first, and the next document set are for the filing of the PR. So for the letter of support, we require 5 documents from the candidates. One is their resume with the most current designation and the work that they are holding with the new startup company that they are planning to apply from. The second is their language proficiency results, which is their IELTS scorecard with a minimum CLB level of 5. The third one is the proof of fund statement, which shows the minimum proof of fund, which is there in their bank account or their financial statements, investment statements, with a look back of past 6 months. Then the fourth one is a professional photo, where it is slightly different than the visa photo. So basically what the professional photo means is that they are dressed up in a business attire because they have to present their ideas to the investors to get the support from the designated organization. And the last one is the passport. Yeah, so the passport is required, and the passport is required at least since last 10 years or the time they turned 18 years old, whichever is earlier, because IRCC also wants to take a look at the past travel history, where all you have been since the last 10 years. So these are the 5 documents which are required initially for the issuance of letter of support. And then when it comes to PR filing, there is a whole extensive list of documents which are further required, which will take quite a lot of time. But just to give you a quick idea, these 5 documents are required, and additionally you require employment experience letters. Then you require passport photo as per the visa requirements. You require police clearance certificate. This is very important document which is required. Then you require your marriage certificate or divorce certificate. You require your kids education certificates if they have turned 18 and above. So these are some of the other documents which are required, and it's a whole extensive list, but I just want to give you a gist about it. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.